So first of all, you want to find yourself a tin, and you're going to clean it up like this by using different grades of sandpaper. So I start with a quite rough one, not too rough, because you don't want to make big gouges, and then a less rough one, and then I end up with wet and dry, which is like really smooth. For this tin I used an SMA baby milk tin. This one was actually a little bit more rusty than I'd like inside, just in the seams. So because I was making a dog treats tin, I didn't want to put a food in something rusty. You can use any tins really, but these are too pretty, I think, to use to strip the paint off. That's why I like using old coffee tins and things like that. But at least you wouldn't be dealing with a plastic lid with the case of these. And actually that's actually bumpy, that, so if you was to use that, you'd have to grind that down flat, I suppose, on that one. But I'm not going to use my nice tins anyway, so you just need to start by rubbing all the paint off. I do use what I call ugly tins rather than nice fancy biscuit tins or anything. If you've got one that's like this, that looks shiny already, and you're thinking, oh, that's less work, it isn't, because you can see where I've rubbed there, it has actually got some lacquer on it, and you'll get rough edges where you've around where you've done already, so you've still got to sand the whole thing down. The only problem with these types of tins is you've got a plastic lid to deal with. I have had a little go of that one already, but the paint was reacting. Actually, it's a little bit of a lie, my husband had a go at it. But it's reacted a little bit, so, but I'm going to deal with that later. And also, you could probably cover it with something as well if it's got that's like embossed writing on it. Okay, so we're just going to start by rubbing it down. So I just work in one direction around the tin all the time. You could use an electrical sander, I suppose, to get the main paint off, but it may leave swirls, and you may have to sand it even more to get those out. So I just use this by hand. If there's only surface rust, that should sand off as well. This is slightly worse than the other tin I've already done, but we'll have a go at getting rid of that rust as well. It's the inside that I was concerned with this tin, because it's actually in the seams, and I don't think I'd be able to get rid of that. tool I was using then to scrape around the edges, the tricky bits, is just one of those scraping tools out of a, they're called scraper foil kits that you can buy for children, where you scrape the black off and reveal silver underneath. I've even took the paint off the bottom because I don't like to recognise the tin for what it used to be, and I think if you're going to give it as a gift to someone, they don't want to see a use by date on the bottom. You can save yourself a lot of work by buying a stainless steel flask or other items like that. You can even buy flasks that have got, they look like they're painted but they're actually plastic coated. You can actually get that plastic off. This one had plastic on. And you just use one of those heat embossing tools and metal plastic, but you've got to chip it off as you're heating it, because as soon as you take the heat away it quickly cools and shrink wraps back onto the flask. But it is possible. This is one that I've tried before. I didn't quite etch deep enough there, but okay. So next I'm going to prepare my vinyl to be cut. The vinyl that I'm going to use is a cricut one. I think this was 5 different sample colours for £8. That was from Hobbycraft. So I'm going to use that because it's for my dog. I don't want to spoil my project if this cheaper vinyl that I've got doesn't quite come up to scratch and stop the salt water seeping underneath or anything. It does seem okay, but I've not used it yet. So you get quite a lot on that. It was £8 a roll. It's about 2 foot wide. I can't remember what length it was. I got it in matte rather than gloss, because if you put it on wood, sometimes gloss just looks like a sticker and not part of the wood. So I wanted it like to look painted. But I'm going off subject anyway, so that's why I'm not using that one. I will for a different project. Okay, now my mat's really lost its stickiness. It lost it very quickly from brand new. So all I do is use sellotape. Okay, so my design is about 4 and a bit by 4, I think. Let me, 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, 4 across by 4 and a bit. Just make sure that fits. I think I'll have to move my design over on the machine a little bit because there's a white edge here and you're not supposed to have it on this black bit, so I'm just going to cut that. Okay, so I've set my blade on to 4 because at that it'll cut through the vinyl but not through the backing, and you'll be able to easily weed it out. So just feed that into the machine. I did move the image over and down so it'll be in the middle more. Okay. Hopefully it'll do a good job because I know my blade's getting a bit worn again. Okay, so a couple of pieces did come up, but I'll be weeding those out anyway. Really thin bits like that, really, if that was to stay, and you try to keep that, I'm not sure if that's a dark area or not, can't quite think at the minute, but it's likely that the salt water would seep underneath that anyway. Okay, so you can remove this because it won't have cut right through the backing. It's only the vinyl. Okay. Just get rid of those bits of sellotape. Okay, so I'm just going to weed out the bits where I want etching. Okay. Trying to not get my big head in the way. This may take me a while. Okay, so I've done my weeding out. Everywhere where I've removed vinyl is where it's going to be engraved. I actually kept the text and put it on the backing of a piece of vinyl because I could use that for something else. Okay. So most people use transfer tape. I've actually never owned any transfer tape. I was that desperate to try this vinyl out and I hadn't bought any. I just came up with the idea of using sellotape, but you want something that's not too sticky, so what I do is I'll just put it over my knee about 4 times to take the sticky out, and it gets little bits of fluff on it a little bit, but that doesn't matter. And then I just layer it starting at one end. Okay, just pin that down a second. It's trying to curl. One more for good luck. Oops, sorry. Just banging my head on the tripod thing. So I'll just overlap it, press it down, and I'll just keep going along like that. And then what I'll do is I'll just get some kind of credit card or something like that. This is just actually my library card, which of course isn't getting any use at the minute with all these lockdowns. I think I've had my library books out for like a year and a half. Never mind. So just make sure it's pressed down all over your vinyl really good, okay? Not necessarily the edges. I've got this on my mat actually, turned upside down. Okay. So just, and then you just pick the whole thing off. Okay. On my tin I look for the seam because I always want my seam at the back. Okay. Oh, hang on. I'm not taking the backing off yet. Hang on. So I'll show you. Jumping the gun there, weren't I? And just take it off. Don't pull upwards. Like roll it off at an angle. If you get any bits that seem to be lifting with it, just poke them back down. It's usually the little bits that try to lift. I find this backing for the cricut quite thick. It seems thinner on that other vinyl that I've bought. So it can be quite hard to bend, you know, to peel it off. Bear with, that bit just doesn't want to. Oh. Sometimes it's that you've not rubbed it on that bit quite enough. I'm trying to rush because I know I should have tea on by now. It'll have to wait. I think really I've neglected to rub that bit in the middle. There you go. I was making it look more difficult than it actually is. It's only because I'm rushing. Okay, so it's all off. Right. Okay, so now you get your tin, make sure the seam's at the back. Put something there to stop it from rolling if you need to. Okay, try and place it as straight as you can where you want it. It's a bit of an angle. Try not to let the sellotape curl underneath. Okay, so normally I just get the middle bit straight and pressed, and then I'll work out to the side edges on something that's curved. Try not to get any wrinkles in it, like I'm doing. Well, that's not straight. What will it do? Oh. Okay, that doesn't look very straight, but I think it's my vinyl that I cut wonky. I don't think you're going to notice much when it's done. At least it's not something that's for sale anyway. Okay. So just get your card or whatever and rub it all over again. Try and get those bubbles out if you've got bubbles by working towards the edge. Those ones won't really matter. As long as around the edge here, it won't lift when you're actually doing the etching. Okay, so when you've got it all stuck down as good as you can, then you can just start from the end that you put sellotape on last, remembering that it's overlapping. Okay. and then just start pulling it off. Poor Bronte, I've not took as much care of this as I was meaning to. I'm sure she won't mind what it looks like as long as it gets filled with treats. I think the writing is pretty straight. I think it's just, yeah, because I lined it up with the bottom. But then I think I cut my vinyl from the bottom. Or did I? Oh, I can't remember. Doesn't matter. Okay. Now what I do, because you sometimes get salty water dripping down the sides, is I'll go all the way around the tin with some sellotape as well. Just to protect the tin, you don't want that getting dirtied back up or any bits engraving out of that. So just go all the way around, just overlapping that again. Right, just a quick little science lesson for you, just so that you understand what's happening when you're electro engraving. In case it doesn't seem to be quite working, you can maybe figure out why your circuit isn't set up right or something like that. Okay, so you've got your power source. You can use batteries. It needs to be between 5 and 12 volts. I actually use a rechargeable drill charger. I did try, which I'd seen somebody else do on YouTube somewhere, using a car battery charger which was 12 volts, but I managed to pop the fuse. My husband wasn't too happy about it, but I don't know why that happened, but I think maybe it was because I kept dabbing the drill bit that you use. I don't know, I still can't figure it, but I also tried, you've seen those big battery packs, it's like a big block with 2 springs on the top. I think they actually are used for like inflatable Christmas decorations, you know, that people have in the gardens outside, things like that. I'm not sure. They're 6 volts, so it needs to be between 5 volts and 12. Apparently it can't kill you, 12 volts can't kill you, but can give you a bit of a zap, so just be careful anyway, just in case. Okay, so you've got your power source, and you have a negative charge always leaving, and it's attracted to the positive charge, so your circuit's going to go like that. Okay, that's your cathode, which I use a drill bit. Okay, so it's just attached from the minus side of the charger. Okay, and I just use, they're off curtains, these little clips. You can use what they call bulldog clips or something for cars, I've no idea. Just use any type of clip anyway. Okay, and the positive side always goes to the thing that you want to etch. Okay, so I just use one of these curtain clips again, and just find a bit of metal. Okay, so your positive side always goes to your item that you want to etch. All right, and you need an electrolyte, which is salt water, because dirty water is a good conductor of electricity. Okay, and you've got positive metal ions going from that side, from your thing that you want to etch. It's actually leaving that side, and it's eroding it and oxidizing it, and it attaches to this side. You'll see on the end of your drill bit, it starts to gather ions. Negative sulfate ions go to that side, and it just carries on round in a loop. Okay, with the block battery that I was on about, that I tried, I had a bit of an intermittent effect with it. I think that was because the connection on the springs at the top wasn't very good, I don't know. Okay, so you can actually plate things as well. So if you wanted to plate steel, okay, if you wanted to plate steel with copper, instead of salt water, you need a solution that is appropriate for what you're trying to plate it with. Okay, so if you're trying to plate steel with copper, you need a copper sulfate solution. I've not tried that yet. Apparently it's used in fertiliser. Now, whether that's been banned by the EU in the past or something like that, I don't know. So your copper thing would be on this side, because the ions would be leaving the copper and going to the steel. But that's not what we're doing today. We're just engraving. We want metal being eroded from this side and going to that side. Okay. So, right, I'll just switch the power on. I've got quite salty water. There's about, maybe not quite a teaspoonful in there. I do make it quite salty. And when I switch the power on, all I'm going to do, or make sure your wires don't short circuit and touch each other. See, on this I've just looped them around that bit. I've actually trapped that one in that side. Okay. If it seems intermittent at all, it's just, normally it's your connection somehow. Okay, so I've not switched it on yet, but I'll show you what I'm going to do is just dip it in the salty water, and I'm just going to go like that. You don't have to press hard or anything like that, because it's the ions travelling through the salty water. So I'll just switch it on a second. Oh, I switched the wrong thing, sorry. Okay, so I'm having to hold my wire a little bit because I hope you can see it starts to kind of sizzle. Okay, it starts getting a bit dry, just get some more salt. So every time I'm touching it and the red light comes on, and you can see it sizzling. So I normally have it on the same place for about, say, 30 seconds or so. I'll go up over it all, and then I'll go over it again, just to make sure it's deep enough, and I'll wipe it every now and again just to check if it is deep enough. Don't take the vinyl off till you're sure, because you can't carry on and do any small bits, as far as I'm aware, without doing the surrounding areas by accident. So okay, so I'm just going to carry on with that. Okay, so when you're done, as you can see, it is quite messy. To judge how deep to go, you'll just be able to tell that your vinyls, it looks that little bit deeper than the edge. The longer you spend on it, the deeper it'll be. You could probably actually make a hole, but just check it all over, and if there's any bits that you think I'm not sure, just go over it again in those areas, because as I said before, if you've taken this vinyl off, it's too late. You could say test the corner. Oh, if I just pull off this corner here, just to have a see. Yeah, I think I would be happy with that. Okay, so I'm going to pull the whole lot off. Okay, so it might not look much at first, but if you just get yourself some metal polish, don't let my husband see this, I nicked it out of his car care products, you just need a little bit. Okay. Just show you quickly. I'm going to have to carry on in the morning, I think, because I don't even want to look at the time. I think it's probably about 2 o'clock in the morning. You can see it's coming up anyway. I've got some sticky left on it from the sellotape, but you can just use furniture polish to get that back off. Okay, so it is coming up nice. Okay, so I'm going to carry on with that in the morning anyway. Absolutely shattered. And there we go, all polished. If you get any stubborn black bits, just get your little scraper foil tool that I showed you before, and just pick them off and then just carry on polishing over it. I'm quite pleased with that. So the polishes that I used, I did use that one, but this Auto Sol was even better, and it really has shined it up really good. I've dealt with the lid. It's not perfect because I did have to sand it down when my husband spray painted it for me, and it had reacted. I sanded it down so you can see marks in it. I don't know if they'd go if I went over it again with my paint, but I'm not really that bothered. You could leave the lid as it is if you wanted to, but I just wanted it to look metal, and I found this chainmail colour paint. I'm not exactly sure what kind of paint this is, to be honest. It says miniature paints on it, so it'll be for model building for railways and kit cars and things like that that you can buy from the model shop. I thought it was enamel, but it's not, because with enamel you have to clean your brushes with terps, and this just washed off with water. I don't know how it'll fare, but it's not cracking when I bend the lid. Obviously when you open the lid it's going to bend a little bit. Okay, so there's that, and then I didn't want this rough little bit on top, so I just found a metal button and removed the loop at the back with some wire cutters, and I'm gonna just hot glue gun that on the top, so it'll be like that. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed watching, and have a go at this yourself. It is messy work, but it's fun as well, and you can personalise all kinds of things. You can actually security mark anything that's metal, like your bicycle or anything like that. Anyway, bye for now. What's your verdict, Bronte? What do you think? What do you think? Let's look inside. Oh, that's all she's bothered about.